Are you ready to get dark? Welcome to the John Campea Show After Dark, the show where, as you know, we talk about consuming alcohol and recreational drug use and casual sex and making out with your girlfriend's hot sister or brother or mom, whatever excites you. The show where we talk about cheating on your taxes and not putting the grocery cart back to the grocery cart return when you go to the grocery store. Evil, dark things. Guys, welcome to the John Campea Show After Dark. This, of course, is just a glorified companion video that we do live, and it is Monday night, and we are going to do this live, so we call it After Dark. So that's what we're going to do here. We have a whole bunch of companion videos. Good to see you guys up here late at night with me. I still haven't seen, what was the final score? I was watching the Monday Night Football game, but then Ann and I decided to watch a couple more episodes of Lucifer because we're almost at the finish line. Does anybody know what the final score of the Green Bay Packer Detroit game was? Just tell me who won the game. I'm sure, because I didn't see. Last I saw, Detroit was winning by 3, but that was at like halftime. I don't even remember what happened in that game. So if you guys know who won that game, let me know in there. Anyway, the Packers won. Packers won. There you go. So they still suck this year. Well, they beat the Detroit Lions. Congratulations, Green Bay. Woo! Big win. Anyway, yes, guys, companion video time. Good to have all you guys here. By the way, thank you, Tony and Wolf and everybody else in the live chat there who let me know who won the game. So it's good to have you guys here. We do have a lot of questions to get through. So let's not waste any time, guys, as we're hanging out on this Monday night and start getting to the topics. And hello to everybody in the live chat already who's already here with us. So let's get to it. Okay. We're going to start things off here with Hawkeye's Lost Arrow, who writes, "Hi, amigos. Over under 60% in the next 5 years, we'll have something with Kate Bishop and Awkwafina. Archery related? No. From a tiny scene to a full show, from a quick funny banter to a full teaming up. Team Campea, you're the MCU of movie blogs. Cheers." Well, thank you so much. No, zero chance. By the way, I think it would be a mistake to consider Awkwafina to be an archery character just because she, picked up a bow and arrow for one day. I don't know if that's going to end up being her life's calling, but who knows? We'll see where that goes. All right. Next up, Dr. Nova writes, "Hey, John. Every couple of months, a filmmakers ask what they think of superhero movies because that's what the biggest headline click grabbers are. So here's my opinion on superhero movies, phrased out as if I was a filmmaker being asked about it. While I wish that movies didn't require being superhero movies or either part of a potential franchise starters to get the money and attention these days, it has not escaped my notice that within these movies, people are still doing interesting things. I would like to encourage superhero fans to seek out movies that are like the movies in the MCU, especially something like Shang-Chi, which borrows heavily from Asian cinema." That's a good answer. I would take that answer. I would take that answer over anything that, Denis Villeneuve said. And again, I'm a big Denis Villeneuve fan. Love the guy, good Canadian kid. I just think he said something really stupid, and everybody says something stupid now and again. Everybody says something stupid now and again, and that's okay. But yeah, something like that would have been a thing. By the way, it's not like, I want to correct something here. It's not like only comic book movies can make big money these days. That's not true. But the reality is no movies have ever made the money that comic book movies make. It's not like there always used to be $5 or $6 billion films a year, and then comic book movies came along, and now only comic book movies make $1 billion a year. No movies ever made the kind of money that comic book movies are making. No movies ever have. So there's this perception out there that comic book movies have taken over the $1 billion films, when really there were always very few $1 billion films until comic book movies came along. It's like they're their own things, and other movies still make money. They just don't make as much money as comic book movies. So I just think that's an important distinction to make. All right. By the way, I've already seen a couple of people saying, "Hey, where are the dancers?" Guys, it's going to take me a while to do an episode with dancers because I can't even find them. I mean, we said in the last episode, I'm going to try to do an episode where we have like go-go dancers in the background during the show. And I still intend on doing that, but it is far more difficult to find than I originally thought it was going to be. It might take me a little while. We'll do it. We'll totally do it. It just might take me a little time to do it because I got to be able to find them. And I'm not living right in LA anymore. So it's especially a little bit more difficult these days. Okay. Let's keep going here. Let's see. Where are we at here? We are at Soul Brother Mac writes. One of two. Hey, John, I just can't wrap my head around this, and I hope you, with all of your wisdom, you can give your thoughts on it. So, Warner Brothers are doing this day-and-date release on HBO Max, which is totally moronic of them, by the way. But their films are flopping because of it. Maybe it's me, but if I was running Warner Brothers, I say, you know what? This was a dumb idea. Let's just do theatrical release only. Why would Warner Brothers keep their same day on HBO Max release dates? You would think someone is purposely sabotaging the company. What are your thoughts? And by the way, I just want to point out Paige Chandri in the live chat send in like a $20 super chat badge just to be nice, saying thanks for being you. Thank you, Paige. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, look, why there are certain people in decision-making positions at Warner Brothers that decided they will get their biggest bonuses if they can make HBO Max grow a whole ton. And therefore, they backstabbed the other divisions of Warner Brothers in order to get that big bonus money for themselves. And those people won't have jobs much longer because Discovery is going to be taking over Warner Brothers here pretty soon. And those people are going to be without jobs pretty soon. Thank God. But no, there are still people who are in decision-making positions who have their positions and their bonuses and their direct money tied to trying to make HBO Max grow as tall as possible. And if that means sacrificing other things to get their bonuses, that's what they're doing. So yeah, it's all completely screwed up. It's all completely moronic. And yeah, I'm just glad they're going to be out of jobs soon. And we're going to see Warner Brothers under control of a CEO who has demonstrated they know how to properly run a media company. The CEO of Discovery has proven that he knows how to properly run a media company. He knows how to properly get the right people with the right motivations and a team first kind of attitude and put those people in positions of powers over their individual wings and branches of the company. Warner Brothers is going to be a better, healthier company once they are under the guys from Discovery, and we'll see how that goes. By the way, I see a few people in the live chat like John and a few others saying hello from the Philippines. I know one of the neat things about doing After Dark this late is that it now means at certain time zones around the world that can't normally watch a live John Campea show can watch a live After Dark because we're doing it at the right time of day. Anyway, thanks. Good to have all you guys here. All right. Let's move on here. Next up, we've got Power Cut who writes, hey, John, I just watched C4 TV movie in UK. I've never heard of it. With Jodie Comer. Obviously, she's in Killing Eve, and she's currently right now in Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. She's great in that. And Stephen Graham. Oh, my God. The acting is phenomenal by Comer. It's a masterclass. Now I can't wait to see Last Duel. If you can just get a hold of it, do, but have a box of tissues with you. Yeah, I've never even heard of C4, but I'm glad you brought up Last Duel because she is also starring with Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon in being directed by Ridley Scott in Last Duel. And to me, this movie looks phenomenal. I cannot wait to see this damn movie. I think it looks great. I can't wait to see it. But unfortunately, the C4 thing, Power Cut, thanks for putting it on my radar. But honestly, I've never heard of it up to this point. All right, next up. Vampire Princess writes, one of two. Back in the 80s, Warner Brothers agreed to lend their animated characters to Disney for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Well, they paid money for that. I do not believe that was just a loan. I believe there were probably licensing fees paid. The movie was a huge success and Disney never did anything for them in return. Imagine Warner Brothers now storming into Disney's offices like, you owe us a 33-year favor, and that's how we get our Marvel DC crossover. But, you know, I'm going to say something here that nobody likes hearing. I have zero interest in a Marvel DC crossover. Zero. None. Because I don't believe that makes for a good movie. I think that makes for a good, fun YouTube video, like a 10-minute shtick YouTube video. I do not think that's a recipe for a good movie. Like for a good motion picture with a great narrative and a wonderful 3-act structure with a hero's journey and blah, blah. I just think it turns into a glorified circus put on screen. I have zero interest in it. I like my DC stuff exactly where it is. I like my Marvel stuff exactly where it is. And yeah, comic director in the live chat is saying, yeah, I could see an animated movie franchise. Yeah, you want to do that in cartoon? Perfect. Do that. Great. And by the way, DC and Marvel have crossed over in the comics before. I've talked about that one run they did previously, but they've done it a couple of times. But do I want that? No, honestly, I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's a terrible, terrible, terrible. I just don't see anything in there that makes for a good movie. You know what I mean? But that's, again, I know there are a lot of people who would, but 513 Productions saying it'd just be a gimmick. It's exactly what it would be. It would just be a glorified schlocky gimmick. And without any real purpose or any real value, at least in my opinion. But that's just me. That's only my opinion, but it is what it is. All right. Let's see this. Next up, we got Dangerous D who writes, "Hey, John, man from Atlantis, this, to me, was hidden treasure." Okay, let me try this again. "Hey, John, man from Atlantis, this," I don't know what that means, "to me, was hidden treasure. Patrick Duffy was perfect in the part, from the way he swam to his performance in every episode. I think if Netflix or HBO Max would reboot the TV show or limited run, I think it would work." I honestly have no idea what we're talking about. I have no idea what we're talking about. None. I don't know what is Man from Atlantis a show? Am I missing something? Is Man from Atlantis a show? I do not know what we're talking about here. So yes, sorry about that. Let's just move on. Sorry about that, Dangerous D. I have no idea what we're talking about. All right. Chewy writes, "Hey, John, I picked up my friend to go see Shang-Chi the other day, and he was in awe at the theater. Our way back home, he thanked me for taking him to the movies and that it was his first time going to the movies." Can you, it was his first time going to the movies? Really? Well, first of all, that's amazing. I don't know that I've ever had the privilege of going to the movies with somebody that it was literally their first time going to the movies. That's crazy. And what a great movie for them to go to the movie theaters for their first time, to go see a fantastic movie like Shang-Chi. That is really, really cool. Like I said, Chewy, I don't think I've ever had that experience. I mean, I've been a lot of people's firsts. I've just never been somebody's first to take them to the movie theater for the first time. I think that's awesome, dude. Thanks for sharing that. Next up, Barley Bunny writes, "Hey, JC, in regards to movie premieres moving from midnight to 6 or 7 p.m. on Thursdays, if I recall correctly, this was a result brought on by the Dark Knight Rises theater shooting in 2012. It was not. Movie premieres in general put on hold for a while after that. Yeah, but that gradual moving of the time was something that was already in motion. Look, there was definitely impact and things that happened as a result of the Dark Knight Rises thing. I mean, absolutely, that happened in Colorado. I believe it was Aurora, Colorado. I used to think it was in California, but it was actually in Aurora, Colorado that happened. But that really doesn't have anything to do with it. It was just an inevitable evolution of them moving that earlier and earlier. So, yeah. But anyway, it did have an impact, particularly at that time. So, but anyway, good thing to bring up there, Barley. All right, next up, Chewy writes, "Hey, John, new fan here. Good to have you here, Chewy. Could you please recommend us some of your favorite films of all times, and what do those films mean to you?" Well, I'm not going to go into a full 45-minute diatribe about John's all-time favorite films, but a couple of the ones, I mean, obviously some of the obvious one, the Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, things like that, right? A Godfather. A couple of ones that maybe aren't on a lot of people's, maybe not a lot of your lists. Lawrence of Arabia with Peter O'Toole. It's a long film. It's a magnificent film. And I know a lot of people in our sort of space haven't even watched Lawrence of Arabia yet. Watch Lawrence of Arabia. Kirk Douglas's Spartacus. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus. Chills. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to watch movies before they're born. But some of the movies before we were born, guys, are some of the best movies ever made. So I want to highly, highly recommend a couple that may not have been on your regular list. Lawrence of Arabia and Kirk Douglas's Spartacus. Another one that probably a lot of you have seen because maybe your parents watched it over the holidays or whatever, but is Charlton Heston's Ben-Hur. Charlton Heston's Ben-Hur is like really phenomenal. The story's incredible. And I love the original Ben-Hur. Well, actually, Charlton Heston's Ben-Hur isn't even the original Ben-Hur. Charlton Heston's Ben-Hur is in and of itself a remake. I don't know if you guys knew that. Charlton Heston's Ben-Hur is actually a remake. But it's one of the greatest remakes of all time. And if you get a chance, do definitely see it. It is fantastic. Rampage Predacon says the best. Ben-Hur is epic. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. All right. Thanks for that, Chewy. Next up, we go to Scott Brown, who writes, well, John, you can tell Aaron that you were right. Dear Evan Hansen is not getting good reviews. Well, I thought it would get great reviews. I thought it looked fantastic, even though I thought the dude in it looked way too old. I still thought it would be really good. Anyway, Evan Hansen is not getting good reviews. The biggest problem that most critics point out is that it was a terrible miscasting of Ben Platt. His portrayal of a high school student and interaction with the cast was awkward and distracting. Yeah, I've even seen, like, I don't know if the article is real or fake, but I've even seen this article going around that they're actually considering putting out a de-aged version of the movie where they digitally de-age Platt's face. I don't know if that was real or not, but yeah, it's just, again, the dude has the voice of an angel. That dude can sing. And I get it. He played the role on Broadway, but in the movie, he looks too old. He just doesn't look the right age. Anyway, George Luis sends in a super chat badge in the live chat there. Thank you, George. Appreciate that, man. Okay. Next up, we go to Dangerous D, who writes, hey, John, there's a poll now on which CW is the best, Smallville or Supernatural. Those are probably the two picks. I pick Supernatural. To me, it's still relevant. Horror is my favorite genre, and it has more memorable episodes. Pudding. So what do you think, Smallville or Supernatural? Supernatural. Don't get me wrong. I love Smallville. I watched all of Smallville. As a matter of fact, what's the name of the guy who played Lex Luthor again? Michael, is it Rosenbaum? Is that his name? Is his name? You guys in the live chat, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the guy's name who played Lex Luthor is Michael Rosenbaum. True story. And you guys are saying, yes, his name is Michael Rosenbaum. Thank you, Aaron and Francisco and John. So true story. Maybe during the break, I'll even see if I can get Ann to bring it in here. But my buddy Ryan came over to watch football with me yesterday, and Ann's mom gave him a couple of big containers out of her garage. So she's trying to get out of her garage to send back over to Ann. It's a bunch of Ann's stuff in these big plastic tubs, right? So as we're watching football, Ann's going through these old things in these plastic containers. And there's like pictures of her in grade school with some of our other friends that we have and blah, blah. Picture of her ex-boyfriend. That doesn't bother me. But one of the things she pulled out that I had no idea she has a framed, autographed Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor picture. And I'm like, we should take that to the pawn shop in Las Vegas, the Pawn Star guys, and see, we have here an autographed Michael Rosenbaum Lex Luthor framed plaque. We're asking $5,000. Michael Rosenbaum autographed a lot of things. Best I can do is $500. Well, what about $2,000? Bottom line, best I'll give you is $1,200. You know how the conversations on Pawn Star goes. Anyway, but it's actually really cool. And John in the live chat is saying, I love his podcast. He's got Michael Rosenbaum today has a very, very interesting podcast. His most interesting episodes are talking to former castmates from Smallville. But I mean, he does have a really good podcast, so it's pretty cool. She's actually got that. But yes, what do I think is the greatest CW show of all time? As much as I like Smallville, it's Supernatural. Supernatural is the best show they've ever done. I personally think that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people would definitely say Smallville, though. Dangerous D. So there you go. All right. Next up, The Sock writes, Well, John, it finally happened. My lifelong dream of getting a dog has been fulfilled. That's awesome. I'm a dog guy. I've had dogs my entire life. She's an 8 to 9 year old and her name is Ava. That's also, she's a rescue. That's awesome, man. In the spirit of that, what's your favorite movie where a dog is the protagonist of the story is the protagonist or the focus, where the focus of the movie is on a dog? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't walk around with the names of every dog movie off the top of my head. I know there's the one from Up, but he's not really the main thing. Honestly, Sock, I don't know. I would have to think about that. I don't walk around with that off the top of my head. It's a good question, though, especially since I am a dog guy. Michael Lynch in the live chat is saying A Dog's Purpose. That's a Togo is a recently really, really good one. James Fan is mentioning Togo. Rampage is saying Benji. The comic director is saying Beethoven. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of them. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to think about it, though. By the way, John Ivor Adajar sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, John. I appreciate that, dude. Ooh, Philip Michael says a good one. Cujo. Aaron and that's a Cujo. Yeah, those are good ones, too. All right, let's keep going here. Next up, Dangerous D writes, hey, John, did you see this trailer, Batman, The Audio Adventures 10 serialized. So let me try this again. Hey, John, did you see this trailer? Batman, The Audio Adventures, 10 serialized adventures, 10. How are they going to do this? Is HBO Max a visual streaming will do? Oh, let me try this again. How are they going to do this? Is HBO, remember, punctuation is our friends. Punctuation is our friend. Okay. How are they going to do this? Is HBO Max a visual streaming will do an audio version of Batman's adventures? I'm curious they will pull off it start 9/18. Will you watch? I have heard of this, the Batman serialized. Basically it's a podcast, right? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not tremendously interested in it. To me, Batman is a visual medium. I'm not going to lie either. I will probably check it out. I'm not terribly interested in this. I will probably check it out. How are they going to put it on HBO Max, though? I'm not sure, given that HBO Max is a television and this is an audio only thing, I thought. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to do that. I'll have to look into it and see. How what their plan for that is. But yeah, not terribly interested, but I will probably at least check it out. It's just that, to me, again, Batman is a visual medium thing. I don't know if I want to listen to a Batman story. I either want to read it with images or I want to see it in a visual medium. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be really good. All right, next up. Nosferatu writes, so when, and we know they will, Disney and Sony part ways, does this mean they will never work together again? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, look, you work with somebody and then you don't, and then you can always work together again later on. It's not terribly unusual. It just means that this particular agreement that they have is going to come to an end at some point, whether that's soon or 5 years from now, who knows? But that doesn't preclude them from being able to make other deals again sometime in the future. These types of deals in Hollywood are very rare, where two major studios agree to work together to bring different franchises together. It's very rare, but it can happen. Nothing is saying it can't happen again. All right, next up. Zach writes, maybe during After Dark, you can show us your breakdancing moves while answering the questions instead of the dancers in the background. No, my friend, that will never happen. The moves of Pisces are too glorious to be. I mean, if I busted out my breakdancing moves, the glory of my breakdancing moves could override and short circuit the entire internet. You know, like in Zoolander, when Derek busts out Magnum, I think it was called Magnum, right? When he busts out Magnum and like they're like, it's glorious and it glows. That would be my breakdancing moves. My moves are just too advanced for the human mind, for the internet technology. The technology is not at a point yet that it could handle that much glory going on to the airwaves. Couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle it. So no. Oh, Blue Steel. That's what Magnum was his regular one. He had to unleash Blue Steel. That's right. There you go. Okay. Next up, we go. McJesus writes, 1 of 3. Hi, John. I know nobody actually has the Netflix Disney agreements, but do you think Disney could legally do a continuation of the Daredevil series if they wanted to? No. The only reason I ask is because I think Disney Plus is building their own Defenders. Ooh, I don't think so. With the Avengers team stacked at almost 10 members, it's not feasible to keep adding members like Moon Knight and She-Hulk, and historically Marvel has never done a solo property that doesn't build into a team up. Plus, a Marvel team based solely on Disney Plus could be a big draw if these individual series hit. I don't think this will be a direct continuation of Netflix Defenders, but Marvel knows we miss Charlie. Oh, Charlie Cox. Add in Knight and She-Hulk. It could be really cool team for Disney Plus. Listen, everything about the MCU is about Avengers. Everything about the MCU is Avengers. Every character that comes in. By the way, look at Endgame, right? People in Endgame weren't necessarily Avengers. Like Wasp ends up being an Endgame. Nobody in the Avengers had ever met her before. She just popped up because she was with, she was teaming up with Ant-Man. So she came back through and fought alongside them. Okay, great. But she wasn't actually an Avenger at that point. The thing about the Avengers movies, that is their tentpole event. It's bringing everybody in. That's why I would like 30 or 40 of all these things in there. Now, is Marvel going to take a shot at Daredevil again? Yes. Is it going to be Charlie Cox's Daredevil? Most likely not. Could they try Luke Cage again? Yes. Would it be the same Luke Cage from Netflix? Probably not. Could they do Iron Fist again? That flops so hard. I don't think they'll ever touch Iron Fist again. Just like I don't think they're ever going to touch Inhumans again because that flops. Those things flopped and burned so badly. So I don't think so. But anyway, yeah, there's that. I don't think they're building up to a new Defenders. I think everything is about Avengers and that's the way it'll stay. But who knows, McJesus? You never know. We'll keep our eyes on things. All right. Ben Rayner writes, hey, John, thanks for a great week of shows. Well, thank you so much. I was thinking about it. You know what is a good double feature? First Man and Apollo 13. I think if you watch them back to back, it feels in the same continuity. It could. Just my opinion. What are your thoughts? Bring on the filthy and thanks. Yeah, First Man with Ryan Gosling did not hit the way people were hoping it would hit. Very good movie. Apollo 13, awesome. And you're right, it could play. You know what that reminds me of? Two other... I don't know if you guys know what I'm going to say. Two other completely separate movies. I've talked about this once or twice over the years. I'm going to see if any of you guys in the live chat know the two movies I'm going to mention. But there are two completely separate movies that I have talked about in the past that if you play them and watch them back to back, they totally feel connected. Like 100% feel connected. And I don't know if any of you guys in the live chat might be able to know which two I'm going to be talking about. I have mentioned it before. I'm not seeing anybody mention it in there. Dunkirk and Finest Hour, that's a good one, AJC, but nope, that's a good one though. Dunkirk and Finest Hour is a good one, but that's not it. I'm not seeing any other guests, or Jose is saying Armageddon and Deep Impact. No, those would never feel like they're connected at all because they're too similar. Some people saying Finest Hour. Gary Phillip, by the way, our friend Gary Phillip sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Gary. And Maxie S gets it. Maxie S gets it. The Three Musketeers, the one with Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland and Christopher Platt, or Oliver Platt, I should say. Oliver Platt, Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, and the guy who played Robin. I'm freezing on his name. The guy who played Robin with George Clooney in the Batman movies. Anyway, that Three Musketeers. And then Chris O'Donnell. Thank you, Wolfwood. Chris O'Donnell was the other guy. And yes, Tim Curry. That's right, Francisco. Tim Curry was the evil cardinal in that, right? And then years later, they made another Three Musketeers movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, John Malkovich, Jeremy Irons, Gerard Depardieu, starred in The Man in the Iron Mask, which was the Three Musketeers, but much, much later in their life. And I swear, if you sit down and watch the Kiefer Sutherland Three Musketeers, and then you watch Man in the Iron Mask, it totally feels like a sequel. It totally feels like a 30 years later sequel kind of thing. It really does. So anyway, that just reminded me of that, Ben. Okay, next up. Connor writes, and by the way, I like Man in the Iron Mask. It got slaughtered by critics, but I actually like Man in the Iron Mask. Connor writes, hey, John, hope you're having a great day. I am having a great day, thank you. Any chance for a Venom Let There Be Carnage open spoiler discussion? Absolutely. There will absolutely be, as I always do my open spoiler discussions for movies, it'll happen on the Sunday of the weekend that it opens. So, it comes out Thursday night. I will do the open spoiler discussion for Venom Let There Be Carnage on that Sunday. So I guess that'll be October 3rd, Sunday, October 3rd. Ooh. Oh, damn. I just thought of something. From October 1st to October 3rd, I'm going to be in Las Vegas for the World Series of Poker. I guess I'm going to have to do the open spoiler discussion from my hotel room in Vegas, because I got to do an open spoiler discussion of Venom. That has to happen. But I'm going to be at the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. Okay, look, either way, one way or the other, there will be an open spoiler discussion of Venom, 100%, no doubt. Okay, next up, we got Nate Dogg, who writes, hey, John and Co. Well, there's no Co. Right now. It's just me. Hey, John and Co. How great is the movie Ronin with Robert De Niro? I think that's my favorite heist movie, and it's in my top 5 favorite De Niro films. It's really well-paced film with great action scenes. I'm not going to lie to you, Nate Dogg. I don't love Ronin. I mean, I like it. And I like the whole mythology because he was like a Ronin, was a samurai without a master. And he's basically that. He was a secret agent, but now he's rogue. He's on his own. He's a Ronin. But I never loved it. You know what I mean? I never loved it. I think, it's a movie that I enjoyed. I watched a couple of times, but yeah, man, I can't hear and be disingenuous with you because I didn't like it. And you know what? I don't remember a lot of people loving it, but that's the beautiful thing about these movies, right? Like one of my top 10 all-time favorite films is Highlander. The original one with Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery and the great Clancy Brown. That is not on anybody's top 10 all-time favorite list, but it's on mine. It's on mine. That's all that matters to me. It's on mine. And if Ronin is one of those movies for you, that's awesome. All right, let's move on here. Next up, Boris writes, hey, John, I'm laughing at why you couldn't think of where Andy Samberg came from. This was on the show the other day and blamed it on SNL, but your brain was telling you that Aaron was right. And That's My Boy is where Andy plays Samberg's son. And you were right anyways. Terrible movie. Yeah, That's My Boy. And you're right. Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg are both in the same movie where Adam Sandler plays Andy Samberg's son, or father, I should say. And it is a terrible movie. Like, honestly, one of the worst I've ever seen. And it's got one of my favorite guys in it. It's also got Milo Ventimiglia in it from This Is Us and from Heroes. He's the guy who's responsible for me meeting Anne, Milo Ventimiglia. I've told that story 100 times, so I won't tell it again. But yeah, terrible, awful movie. And by the way, our friend Harry Talks Movies writes in a super chat badge in the live chat, as does Epic Dub Time sends one into the super chat badge as well. Thank you guys. I appreciate that, dude. Okay. And Ilamat316 also points out, and he was also, Milo Ventimiglia was also Rocky's son in Rocky 6, I believe. Rocky 5 or 6. Anyway. All right. Next up. Zaid Habjoka writes, hey, John, since Marvel just established their Marvel animation universe, sort of speak, what could we expect after What If? Side adventures for the Guardians of the Galaxy, more What Ifs. Thanks. Hope things are good after your injuries, leg, thumb. Yeah, no, the leg is all good. The leg's been good for a while. The thumb is still bothering me. Yeah, I tore the ligaments in this thumb the other day, or a few weeks ago now. It's still giving me some problems, but it's getting better. It's getting better. Yeah, they announced a little while back, that Marvel is starting up an entire animation division. And I don't know what the point is. I'll be honest, I do not know what the point is. Are you just going to do, another Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon show? There's already one. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you. So far, the What If series has been comme ci comme ça. For those of you who speak French, it's been comme ci comme ça. I mean, like they do an amazing one, like the Doctor Strange one, and they do a pretty crappy one, like Agent Carter, and they do a pretty damn good one with Hank Pym, and they do a real one with, what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? I mean, that wasn't really a what if episode. That was just a, Killmonger reaching his goals just by a slightly different way. I mean, yeah, it's been hit and miss. What if has been hit and miss? I would be, as much as I love the MCU, I just don't see anything to be really excited about for Marvel's animation division. Now, I say that not knowing what their plans are. But right now, I have no idea what their plan is. I can't think of anything that would literally get me excited. I can't think of anything that would get me excited about it. So I honestly, Zaid, I am wondering what the whole point is. Where are they going to go with this animation division? Because I don't see a point. To me, right now, it just feels frivolous, but we'll see what their plans are. All right, next up, we got Bill Clay, who writes, have you heard any rumblings about Ghostbusters Afterlife doing day-date streaming? I belong to one of those survey sites that asks for feedback on trailers and such, and got one this week about what if the movie came out both ways and which way I would see it. No, as a matter of fact, at CinemaCon, because remember, they showed us the whole movie. When we were at CinemaCon, they surprised us by showing us the whole movie. Ivan Reitman and Jason Reitman are out on stage. They go, and by the way, guys, we're now going to show you right now, we're going to show you the whole movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife. And it caught us all by surprise. We were so happy. But before they surprised us with Ghostbusters Afterlife, they made a very big deal saying, our films are not this day and date bullshit. Our movies, Sony, we do not do this day and date bullshit. Our movies are theatrical movies. Our movies are meant for the theater, where they are best experienced, where directors made them for. Directors made these movies for the theaters, and they made a very, very big deal out of that. So there is no way that this is going to go on. They're not going to sell it to Amazon. They're not going to license it out to Netflix. They're not doing any of that bullshit. They're putting Ghostbusters in theaters. I mean, who knows? They may bump it, sure. But even if they bump it, it's going to be to keep it in theaters. They made a very, very big deal about that. So yes, it's coming out. And guys, it's really good. This Ghostbusters movie is really good, and I'm excited for you guys to see it. I mean, I don't think it's going to end up being a top 10 film movie of the year for me, but it's very entertaining. Erin loved it. Like, Erin lost her mind over it. She liked it more than I did, but even though I didn't like it as much as Erin, I had a very, very good time with that movie. I think most of you guys are really going to enjoy it. All right. Let's see. Next up, Anthony M.R. writes, 1 of 2. John, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you so much. You are one of my favorite YouTubers. Well, thank you. I find your content more entertaining than TV sometimes, and the After Dark specials are cool. I'm in New York and should be asleep during that time, but damn it, I can't help it. And here we are again. Doing another After Dark. By the way, I will say one thing that I really do like about doing After Dark. I like the feel of the room with the lights off and the red light in the background. I don't know why. Maybe it just makes it feel more dark. But I do kind of like that. I like the kind of aesthetic of it. It just makes it a little bit different from the regular daytime show. Anyway, Anthony continues, and he writes, love your casual gaming videos where you talk to us and just play. My play and chats. They are coming back. My play and chats are coming back. Would love to see you do a laid-back video where you do super chats and we talk about all the cool games coming out. No, I won't be doing that. Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, God of War, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic remake. Yeah, see, look, I won't be doing that. Now, I'll do play-in chats. And for those of you who haven't seen me do it, play-in chats is like, I just play a video game and just chat. We'll talk about movies and everything in the chat as I play a video game, right? I mean, pretty standard stuff. A lot of stuff like you'll see on Twitch. I'm just not as good of a gamer as a lot of the guys on Twitch, obviously. But, you know, whether I'm playing, you know, Warcraft, or I'm playing online poker, or I'm playing, I've even played Animal Crossing. I'm not going to lie. Animal Crossing is kind of a fun little game. I know that sounds weird to say. I actually think Animal Crossing is kind of a fun game. Anyway, but I am not a hardcore gamer, right? I play games because I have fun playing them, but I'm not a hardcore gamer. I do not keep in step and keep in the know about all the things going on in the video game world. You know, there are other guys who do that. So no, you will probably not see me doing videos where we sit down and talk about games, because I don't know enough about games. I just don't know enough. I'm a casual gamer. I am a casual gamer. And there are a lot of other guys you'll get much better content from to actually sit down and hardcore talk about games. I'm the wrong guy to do that with. So while I will do more play-in chats, you will probably not see me doing like game videos, right? Not game videos. Anyway, that's just that. All right. By the way, Connor Dixon sends in a super chat badge saying thank you in the super chat. Thank you so much, Connor Dixon. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the support. All right. And thanks for sending that in. By the way, I just noticed that Anthony tipped in $20 for each of those messages. Anthony, thank you so much for supporting our channel on that level, man. Really appreciate that. And yes, the only reason that the play-in chats haven't returned yet is I haven't found a good game to play. And like, it has to be something like a World of Warcraft, right? It can't be a first-person shooter because that's just constantly going on and I can't actually talk. Like in World of Warcraft, I do a quick thing and I'm able to stop and then talk while a cutscene plays or we get ready to move on to the next quest or whatever. A first-person shooter doesn't do that. You know, Joshua Gonzalez in the live chat just said, play Elder Scrolls. So I've been thinking about maybe revisiting, not Oblivion, the other one. What's the big main one? Why am I freezing on it? Not Oblivion. It's not Neverwinter Nights. Skyrim. That's what it is. I'm naming all the other Elder Scroll games except for the main one. I've been thinking about doing Skyrim. Ilmatic says play StarCraft. I played a ton of StarCraft. I have played a lot of StarCraft, but StarCraft isn't good for play-in chats because it's constantly happening until the game is over. Like I can't just casually look over to the chat and then talk casually because everything's happening too much. Like when I play StarCraft, I am particularly StarCraft 2. When I play that, and I always play the Protoss, by the way, I am zoned in. Like I can't. So that's not actually a good one, but something like Skyrim might be. So I might pick up Skyrim again. Okay. And Peter's saying you should try Witcher 3. I've played Witcher 3. Okay, let's move on here. Let's see. That was, and thank you again, Anthony. Appreciate that. Logan James Kynaston writes. He writes, you often mention how you've gone from convincing people to give superhero films a chance to now convincing people to give films that aren't superhero movies a chance. Yep, that's how my job changed a couple of years ago. I've just been to see a powerful film, possibly my favorite of the year, called Herself. I know that one. Is that it? Is there no part 2 to that? It felt like there was a part 2 to that, but there's not. Okay, yeah, Herself. This is an interesting one. So Herself is a movie about, so it's a woman who gets, I believe, like gets out of an abusive relationship and kind of is taking control of her life. And she even decides she's going to build her own house, right? Now, I haven't watched it yet, but I have heard, I've heard good things about it. Logan. So thank you for putting that out there again. You're the first person I think who was actually written in to talk about that movie specifically. And again, I'm aware of the film and I will keep my eyes on that. Thank you for that, Logan. Now, by the way, a bunch of people in the chat are saying, John, get a PS5 for us. Here's the thing. If I'm going to do play-in chats, it's going to be PC games, not a console game. It's got to be a game that's on the PC. So that's pretty important. Anyway, let's move on here. Although I do want to get a PS5, but I'm not going to do play-in chats with a PS5. The Bear is driving rights. Hey, John, so excited for Dune. Me too. Was recently watching Josh McCouga, and he mentioned when Campea discovered me living in a dumpster. Good times. Your influence is felt, good sir. Also, Ruth Negas Rutabagas. Does that make you cringe, stay filthy? Look, I'm going to tell you what. I still remember when McCouga came up with Ruth Negas Rutabagas. I believe it was for when she was promoting a film called Loving that she did with Joel Edgerton. A really good movie, by the way. This is before she was in the AMC, what's the name of that show? Preacher. This is before she was in Preacher, but it's this little film called Loving. It's really, really good. I'm one of the few people that I actually thought that, Ruth Negas Rutabagas was cute. I actually thought that was cute. I'm one of the only people that did, but I actually thought it was cute. All right, next up. Let's see here. David Lucelle writes, Bonjour, Jean. Bonjour, David. Comment t'appelles-tu? I saw Dune, and it was one of the best movie experiences I ever had. It reminds us why we love the movies and is this generation's Lord of the Rings. This is my word of mouth for international viewers because Dune needs to do well. Dune is amazing. That's awesome to hear that. That's awesome to hear that. I cannot wait. It is my number one most anticipated film of the year. Now, again, what I'm hearing from a lot of people, our international friends who have seen Dune already, because it's playing in a lot of other markets right now, is that it's great, but it really does feel like half a movie. And that's what I'm hearing from everybody, that it's great, but it feels like it's only half a movie, which it really is. It really is just half a movie. So, but I'm glad you loved it, David. Thank you for adding your voice to the chorus of people who are really encouraging people to go see this. And I cannot wait to watch Dune. I cannot wait. It's been my number one most anticipated movie for a long time. It is still right now very, very much. All right, next up. Matsiv Jada writes, I just saw Dune, speaking of which, haven't read the books or watched the other adaptations, and it didn't disappoint. But I gotta say, it didn't exceed my expectations either. Well, that depends on how high were your expectations. It really did feel like a setup for something truly great, so part 2 must happen, maybe part 3 also. And yeah, one of the unfortunate things, we talked about this earlier today, I believe. One of the unfortunate things about Warner Brothers not letting Denis Villeneuve shoot parts 1 and parts 2 back to back. I mean, I get it. I understand. It's very, very risky. Financially, it's very risky to shoot part 1 and part 2 back to back. I get it. But one of the big consequences of them not allowing him to shoot it back to back is the fact that now we're going to see Dune, and minimum, we're going to have to wait 3 years to see part 2. We're going to have to at minimum wait 3 years to see the finish of the story. Because this isn't like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, where those are 2 separate movies. Yes, one is a continuation of the other, but as Kevin Feige says, they are both completely self-contained stories. One is a follow-up story. Like Endgame is a follow-up story to the story of Infinity War. And some people erroneously say, well, Infinity War ended on a cliffhanger. No, it didn't. Infinity War was a complete movie with its own beginning, middle, and end. It just so happens that it ends with the bad guy winning. But it has a beginning, middle, and end. It was a complete self-contained story. And then 5 years later in movie time comes Endgame, which is a new story that takes place after the events of the previous story. Dune is not like that. Dune, aside from the other books, but Dune is one story, and they literally have cut this story in half, and they are literally only telling us half of the story. And so what we're hearing from a lot of people is that it very much feels like half a movie. It feels like it's not done. It's not complete. It's not like Infinity War that had a definitive beginning, middle, and end. And the really unfortunate thing is now we got it. If it does well enough, we're still going to have to wait at least 3 years to get it, because they got to green light it. Then they got to pre-production it. Then they got to shoot it. Then they got to do post-production. And then eventually it comes out in theaters. Right. So it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But still, I'm still looking forward to it. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Matsiv. All right. Next up, Always Sketchy writes, could Warner Brothers have stuck with a day and date because being number 2 to Marvel is not worth it? Marvel owns Q4 with movies coming out every month. There is barely enough box office for number 1 to make money. to make money on. So could that have impacted the decision? No, I don't think so. Listen, I reject this notion that right now there's only so much box office money to go around. No, Shang-Chi proves that's not true. People will go to the movie theaters to see movies they want to see. Because I'll tell you right now, if Shang-Chi opened this weekend and, I don't know, James Bond No Time to Die open next weekend, people will go to both. People will go to both. The problem right now isn't that there's only so much box money to go around. The problem right now is there's still a good number of people who aren't comfortable going back to the movie theaters yet. But those who are, like me, will go to multiple movies. The problem isn't that there's only $50 million worth of box office out there. No, people will go if there's a movie they want to see. Again, it's not that there's not enough to go around. It's just that there's only a limited or a slightly limited number of people who are going to the theaters right now. Not everybody's comfortable going back to the theaters. We hear that every day on this show. We hear people writing in every day saying they're not quite ready to go back to the movie theaters yet. I get it. No problem. I am. A lot of you are. Great. Some people aren't. Totally get it. But those of us who are going back to the movie theaters, those of us who are going to see Free Guy, which has now made $300 million, for those of us who are going to see Shang-Chi, which has already well exceeded $300 million, for those of us who are going to the movies, if you have movies in theaters that we want to see, we will go see it. So no, the HBO Max day and date releasing had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with certain people in positions of power wanting to get bigger bonuses and increase their affluence and their power within the company by making HBO Max grow 5 times over, which never happened anyway. But that's what it was all about. All right, let's see. Next up, we have Chauncey, who writes, do you ever sell your old equipment as you upgrade? If so, where? Actually, that's a great question, Chauncey. Of course, I did an all technical video on Friday, like the Friday John Campea Show. There really wasn't much news to talk about on Friday. So I did an all technical show where we talked about all the gear and I took all of your tech questions and how we use the gear and everything. I actually very, very rarely sell any of my old gear. I usually keep it all. Now, the one big difference is, the one exception to that is I had this 4K Canon camera called the Canon Xc15. Let me see if I can find it here. The Canon Xc15. Now I had this camera. I'll bring it to an image of it. I bought it a long time ago because I needed a new camera for the show, but I actually only ended up using it. Let me see if I can shrink this picture a bit. I only actually ended up using it for a little while. I actually only ended up using it for a few months. And then I eventually bought the cameras I have now, which are the Sony a6400s. I have 4 of them. The 4 of the Sony a6400s. Now, this camera was a great camera, but it didn't do quite everything that I wanted it to do. And it was like $2,000 when I bought it. So finally, after it was sitting in a box in my closet for like a year, I finally decided, I should probably sell this. So I gave it to Ray, because Ray, my brother-in-law Ray, is a master of selling things on eBay. Like, he does it every day. And so I gave the camera to my brother-in-law Ray. I said, can you sell this for me on eBay? And he sold it for me. I think I got like $1,000 for it or something like that. But that was all because I knew I would never actually use it again. And it's too good of a camera to just sit in my closet. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up selling it, and I'm glad that I did. But most of my gear, even gear when I replace it with newer or upgraded gear, I usually hold on to it because at some point something comes up where I find a use for it. Whether I have a use for it or like somebody like Kimberly Curran or Aaron or something, they need something for their setup, and I can go, oh, you know what? I happen to have an old this and this that I used to use, but I'm not using it now. So I can lend it to you to use. Or I find, or Anne can use it because my wife, Anne, she's doing her own amazing podcast now that's all about program and project management. And she's like one of the world's best. Anyway, so whether she can use it or I come up with a use for it, right? So I very rarely get rid of my own gear. When it comes to gear, I'm a little bit of a hoarder, I guess, but only when it comes to my tech gear. So my tech gear, I generally hold on to this stuff. But when I do, on the very, very rare occasion that I do, I usually give it to Ray to sell it on eBay. All right, thanks for the question, Chauncey. Next up, Nate Dogg. And Nate Dogg writes, "Hey, John, I was bored and ended up watching Renaissance, the new Hugh Jackman film, and I totally understand why it only made $2 million. What a craptastic waste of time that was. It was one of the most abysmal, dull movies I've seen in a while. Bloody terrible." Yeah, we've had a few people write in. We've had a few people write in to say that they liked it, and we've had a bunch of people write in to say that they didn't like it. I was interested in it because it's Hugh Jackman. And obviously, I'm a big Hugh Jackman fan. I love him. Like, I've loved him, obviously I first introduced him as Wolverine, but I've even loved him in movies he did like ages ago, just after he became Wolverine. What was that one, guys in the live chat, help me out here. What was that one romantic comedy that he did where the name of the movie isn't Old Cow, but one of the big theories in the movie is Old Cow Theory? Do you remember the one I'm talking about? It's a romantic comedy. If you guys can remember who was in it, it wasn't Kate and Leopold. No, it wasn't Kate and Leopold. It was, everybody's saying, it was not Kate. That's the one he did with Meg Ryan, but it was not Kate and Leopold. It's not the one where he was a time traveler. Someone Like You. John in the live chat got it. Yes, Someone Like You. That was the name of it. I love that movie, actually. I think that movie's hilarious. Then John, why didn't you remember the name of it? I just froze on the name or whatever. But yes, it's called Someone Like You. It's a really funny rom-com. Kate and Leopold's also pretty good too. But he's done so many good movies. But then the trailer for Reminiscence came out. I'm like, this is a terrible trailer. Like, it's a bad trailer. I have no idea what this movie's about. Like, none. All I know is that Hugh Jackman's in it and it has something to do with going into your memories, but I really don't know. The trailers did not let me know what the movie was about. And then we started hearing early reactions to it, and the early reactions were not great. Not great. And so it kind of killed my enthusiasm, and I never did watch it. I will one of these days. I will. By the way, Banana Apple sends in a super chat badge in the live chat, as does S Beam. Thank you guys for sending those in. I appreciate that, guys. All right. Let's keep going here, shall we? Next up, that was Nate Dogg. Next up, we've got Ernie Bert. Little Sesame Street there for you. Ernie Bert writes, "Greetings, John. Love the show. Thank you so much, especially the After Dark companion show." Well, good news. That's where we are right now. With Paramount losing out on Christopher Nolan sweepstakes and the firing of Jim Giannopoulos and no 2021 movies, should they focus on building Paramount Plus? Well, I mean, look, obviously they are very, very focused on trying to build Paramount Plus. All right. Well, actually, it looks like Ernie keeps going. Also, if they get their content back from other streaming services, Star Trek, Scream, Scary Movie, Nickelodeon content, they can be a real dark horse in the streaming wars, in my opinion. I don't know if having Star Trek stuff is going to make you a major player in the streaming wars, but I hope we can get an update on Harbinger, comic adaptation from Paramount. Okay, and then that's a separate question. Yeah, look, they're trying very hard. Paramount Plus, I mean, they made the switch from CBS. What was it called? CBS All Access. That was the name of it. And then they just recently did this big transition where they kind of amalgamated a few things, and now it's called Paramount Plus. And they've gone really hard on the marketing for it and trying to get this thing going. And I don't know. Look, there's some things on Paramount Plus I really like. I like their Star Trek stuff. I like Discovery very much. I really like season 1 of Picard. I only watched one episode of Below Decks. Didn't like what I saw, so I just kind of didn't bother keep going with that either. So, I mean, they're trying hard. They're trying hard. They want to have a streaming service where their content can live like Disney's, right? Now, Disney has this huge archive of their material of Star Wars and Marvel stuff and the classic animation and Pixar and right. And it's like, that's great. Paramount wants to mimic that. Can they? I don't know, but they are desperately trying. They are desperately trying to do it. They are desperately trying to do it. All right. Next up. Let's see. Ernie Bert writes, have you seen the trailer for the Mayor of Kingstown? I did. I hope I'm not the only one that's going to see Jeremy Renner in this instead of him and Hawkeye. LOL. Thank you guys. Keep up the great work. Just wanted to support. Well, thank you, Ernie. And absolutely, it looks great. That looks great. Guess if I'm not mistaken, it's the same guy. Why am I freezing on the writer's name? The guy who is doing Yellowstone right now. The guy who did, I'm freezing on his name right now. But anyway, you guys know the show we're talking about. It looks great. It's got Jeremy Renner, and it's also got the guy from Friday Night Lights, and I can't remember his name. And yes, Leo T. Sheridan. Yes, Sheridan. It looks like the show is from Sheridan, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Leo T. And the show looks great. And I'm not going to lie to you. I am more excited about the Mayor of Kingstown than I am for Hawkeye. I'm just being honest with you. I'm more excited for this show. I think this looks better than Hawkeye does. Now, not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's okay. That's fine. But I thought it looked fantastic. And yeah, I'm really stoked for that one, Ernie. Thanks for writing that in, man. All right, next up. Dangerous D, as I pull out another Zevia. How are you guys doing tonight, by the way? Seeing all you guys in the live chat there, GA, Donnie, Nate, Ilmac, Matt, everybody else in the live chat. Good to have you guys here. Got about 700 people in the live chat right now for this little late night stream. Good to have you guys here. Ilmatic316 says, Hawkeye looks like the best Marvel show yet. I think it looks like garbage. I'm sure it's going to be good. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure Hawkeye's going to be good, but I thought the trailer was ass. And I know I'm in the minority on that. And that's fine. And if you liked it, that's great. I just thought the trailer was ass, but I do think the show will be good. Okay, let's keep moving on here. Next up, that was Dangerous D. Next up, we have got, where are we at now? I can't find my mouse. There it is. Dangerous D also writes, hey, John, did you hear HBO Max is offering 50% off its ad-free plan following its exit of Amazon Prime Video? I still don't know why they're leaving Amazon Prime. Are you aware of this reasoning, and do you think it's the right move? Is HBO Max in financial trouble? Well, listen, HBO Max grew in 2021. It did not nearly grow as much as they thought. It would. Now they're saying that HBO Max exceeded their growth potentials, but I have heard from people inside Warner Brothers that it did not. They thought this whole, we're going to put all of our 2021 movies on HBO Max. And they really thought that was going to give them a massive snowball of growth. And it didn't. It barely exceeded the rate of growth they had prior to 2021 starting. And it's not great. Now, the departure from Amazon is, now, don't get me wrong, you can still get HBO Max on Amazon Fire Stick and on their devices. But what you can't get it now is on Amazon Video. You could add on channels like HBO Max, right? But they wanted out of that because Amazon was keeping a significant cut of the money because they were accessing it through Amazon Prime Video. And they didn't want to do that. And I understand that. So they wanted to divorce themselves from that. And by the way, I don't think it's just the ad-free. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're offering right now a big discount on both levels, the premium paid and the cheaper one. I think they're offering that discount to all new customers. They're offering it to all customers who were accessing it through Amazon Prime Video and all brand new customers. So somebody like me can't get that deal. And it's only for a limited time. Like, it's not like forever you get 50% off. I think it's for like 6 months or 8 months. But yeah, it's a good deal. They got to do something to get those people who were signed up via Amazon Prime Video and say, hey, come on back Even though we're not on Amazon Prime Video anymore, come on back and join up, and we're even going to give you a discount for a few months. It's a good move. It's a good move, but they do need to make a move like that. So yeah. All right, next up. Oh, by the way, it looks like I missed one of Dangerous D's questions. Dangerous D also wrote, "Hey, John, now that Daniel Craig's relinquishing the James Bond character, it's interesting who might be his replacement. Henry Cavill auditioned before, and Idris Elba's name has been mentioned. I suggest another name, Tom Ellis. He's charming and can handle action scenes." I don't think he can handle action scenes very well. Tom Ellis's action scenes, and for those of you who don't know, Tom Ellis is the guy who plays Lucifer in the show Lucifer, which I love. I was watching a couple episodes tonight. I do not think he's very good at action, and I just don't know if he's a good enough actor. But John, I've heard you say Lucifer's like your favorite character on television. Yeah, but you never know if somebody's actually legitimately a good actor when you see them in one role. Because remember John, I think his name was John Heder in Napoleon Dynamite, right? So everybody saw John Heder in Napoleon Dynamite, and everybody thought, this is our next big comedy star. Turns out being Napoleon Dynamite was the only thing he was actually good at on screen. Because remember he did that one comedy with Will Ferrell, I think it's called Blades of Glory, the figure skating one? He was awful in that. He was awful in that. So I'm not so sure that Tom Ellis would be a good Bond. I mean, if they picked him, I'd definitely give him a shot because I do love him in Lucifer, but I need to see him in more things than just that. Personally, I think Henry Cavill is the best choice. He was the runner-up to getting the role to Daniel Craig. And if you saw him, not only in everything else he's done, The Tudors, Superman, but he was also great in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. playing a spy. He was great in that. I think he is the logical choice. I don't know that they'll go with him, but for me, I think he's a great fit. I think he would fill the shoes very well. But anyway, and he's a terrific performer, terrific actor. I just think he's the guy. If you don't know really how good his range is, go and watch him in The Tudors. He was fantastic in that. He was great in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I think he's the greatest Superman we've ever had. But it's just me. All right. Next up, Dangerous D also writes, "Hey, John. Norm Macdonald, I see the tributes for him, his stand-up days." Hey, John, Norm Macdonald, I see the tributes for him, his stand-up, his days in SNL, his impressions of Burt Reynolds, which is iconic, was great, but he has a great impersonation of Quentin Tarantino, was spot on as well. I also recommend people watch his moth joke at Conan, hella funny. Yes, his joke about the moth, I'm not going to tell you what it was, but if you haven't seen it, jump on YouTube and look for Norm Macdonald moth joke Conan. Norm Macdonald moth joke Conan. It's hilarious, and it kind of epitomized Norm Macdonald's comedy. I thought it's awesome. You should definitely go look it up. It's a little long, like for a joke, it's a little bit long, but the payoff is so great. I would definitely say go check that out. Okay, next up. Lead Weinberger writes, "Hey, John and crew. John, you're not alone with regards to Hawkeye's trailer. It lowered my expectations for the series. As for Denis Villeneuve's comments about comic films, wanted to add what you said. What about the actors? A lot of them are in Dune. Bring on the filthy." Yeah, that's one of the other things that I don't understand. So Denis Villeneuve coming out and crap talking about comic book movies. You do realize in Dune, you have Thanos, you have Aquaman, you have the next Moon Knight. Who else? Oh, you have Drax the Destroyer, all in your little movie, which, by the way, while you're calling comic book movies just cut and paste, you do realize your Dune movie is a remake of an existing book, right? Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Your own individual unique interpretation, which I am sure is going to be glorious, and I cannot wait to watch it. But I just found it a little hypocritical to come out and trash talk on a genre of movies while four of your actors, Thanos, Moon Knight, Drax the Destroyer, and Aquaman, are in your movies, and your movie is a remake of an existing book. I don't know. It's just that. Again, I love Denis Villeneuve, good Canadian kid. I love him. I just, that was a kind of a stupid thing for him to say. All right, next up. B. Wayne, New York writes, John/Rob, obviously Rob's not here right now. So I'm looking forward to the new Matrix movie, but why do you think with the long-haired and a beard, they have Neo looking like John Wick? Took the wrong pill. It looks like John Wick took the wrong pill. Have you guys seen the NW... I don't know what NW is. Sideshow Collectibles, 1 minute video, Dad's Nightmare. It's hilarious. And so Rob. No, I have no idea what NW Sideshow Collectibles. I know what Sideshow is. I don't know what NW is. Anyway, look, it's 20 years later. Do you have the exact same haircut that you had 20 years ago? A lot of people, so maybe some people do. A lot of people don't. So I think it's totally fine that he looks a little bit different. I think it's fine that it looks a little, I don't personally see anything wrong with it. And I am not looking forward to the next Matrix. I said it before, I will say it again. I see zero reason to be excited about the new Matrix. None. The trailer is fantastic. The trailer is utterly fantastic. It is. I love the trailer. But I still see no reason to be excited for this movie. I just don't see any reason to be excited for the movie. The Matrix films themselves declined in quality as the series went on. And since then, the Wachowskis have made some of the worst crap Hollywood has ever seen. And even then, only one of the Wachowskis is coming back to do the fourth one. Somebody has to tell me why there is a rational reason to be excited for this movie. Because I haven't heard a rational reason yet. And again, I confess the trailer is utterly fantastic. It is a glorious, fantastic trailer. And I love Keanu Reeves. I do. But, I just can't get any excitement for The Matrix. I just cannot for Matrix 4. But who knows? I wasn't excited. There's a lot of movies I wasn't excited about. And then I went and watched them and like, wow, that was great. And maybe Matrix 4 will be the next one that does that. Here's hoping. All right. Next up, Milo writes, I recommend the Netflix show Top Boy, 2019. Never heard of it. It's a very accurate show about life in inner city London. I think it would be especially interesting for North Americans to watch as it's very accurate as opposed to American stereotypes of life in England. I got to be honest with you, Milo, I've never heard of the show. I've never heard of the show. Yeah. So I got nothing for you on that. That I never even heard of it. No idea. I mean, it's nice that it's an accurate representation of life in London, but I can just, watch a street cam if I want to know what life in London is like. So yeah, but I don't know. I have to know a little bit more about it. I'd have to know a little bit more about it. But I've never actually heard of the show. So Milo, you are the first one to put it on my radar. So thank you for that. I'll keep my eyes open for it. Actually, somebody in the live chat right now, Michaela J is saying, I love Top Boy. Well, there you go. So you're not the only wrong. So other people have seen it too. So interesting. All right, Milo, I'll keep my eyes open. All right, next up, Chris writes, 1 of 4. Hey, John, love all that you do. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that. So just for fun, I thought of an idea for a potential Star Wars episode 10 through 12, and I'm curious about what you think. All right. Have it be like 1,000+ years after the events of episode 9, with the story's focus on all new characters, with the central conflict being between a group of light side force users who don't follow the Jedi code. You already lost me. I'll be honest with you. You've already lost me. Anyway, because it's Jedi or nothing to me. Anyway, and a group of dark side force users who don't follow the Sith code, and give it a Kurosawa samurai vibe aesthetic, just in the Star Wars universe. Would you see it? Well, look, anything called Star Wars, I'll give a shot to. Anyway, if not, no worries. Just wanted to ask you for fun. Also, are you excited for Star Wars Visions? Thanks, and may the Force be with you always. All right. So first things first, I am not interested in any convoluted stories about Force users that aren't Jedi or Sith. It has been Jedi and Sith in the world of Star Wars for millennia. So no, I'll be honest with you. Although I would obviously check it out and try it if they did it, I am not interested in a Star Wars story that has light side users, but they're not Jedi, and dark side users, but they're not Sith. I'm not going to lie to you. I have no interest in that. None. I would give it a shot if it came out in theaters. But if you're asking me, would I initially be excited about the notion? No, I wouldn't be. That being said, interesting story about Star Wars Visions. So Lucasfilm sent me the entire series, right? They sent me digital links to the entire series like 2 weeks ago. So me and Ann sat down and we sat down to watch it because we've both been looking forward to it. I thought it looked really interesting. And I started to play it, and then I realized the voice was in Japanese. I thought maybe it's supposed to be in Japanese. So I turned on the subtitles, but the only subtitles that played with it was Spanish subtitles. I'm like, this is clearly not what it's supposed to be. This was clearly a link meant for somebody else. And then I tried the other episodes as well, and it was all the same thing. All of it was in Japanese, and the subtitles were all and only in Spanish, and it couldn't be changed. So they clearly sent me the wrong links, and I never bothered to get a hold of them to send me the right ones. I never got a hold of them to send me the right ones. So I just figured, you know what? I'll just watch it when it comes out. I'll just watch it when it comes out. I'm honestly, it's okay. I can wait. Now, don't get me wrong. I am excited to see it. I think it looks very interesting. The concept is really cool. The concept is very, very cool. But I just thought I'll be able to wait. I'll be able to wait. And I don't want to sound ungrateful calling Lucasfilm, hey, you jerks, you sent me the wrong links. It's not like I paid for it, right? They were just being kind enough to send me a viewing. It's just that they sent me the wrong links. So it's all right. I'll wait for it to come out. But yes, I am looking forward. I am looking forward to seeing it. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I know my buddy Dennis Zen watched it, and I know he said he really liked it. So I think the styling of it looks incredible, and each episode has kind of its own different styling. So yeah, there's that. Anyway. Okay. Thank you for that, Chris. All right. Last one we'll do today. Eddie Burton writes, curious with Endgame in the rearview mirror for Robert Downey Jr., do you think playing Iron Man for as long as he did was a disservice to his acting career long-term? No. See, here's the thing that everybody forgets. And by the way, I'm just going to put this in here. Nate is asking in the live chat, how far behind is John on the chats? Only about a day. Right now we're up to about questions that came in over the weekend. So we are all through all the questions that came through on Thursday and Friday. We're now in the questions that only came in on the weekend. So we're only about a day behind right now. We should be caught up by the end of tomorrow. We made a lot of headway here tonight. Anyway. Now, a lot of conversations have happened regarding that, Robert Downey Jr. hasn't been able to really do anything of significance or have any real hit since the MCU. His movie, The Judge, which I like The Judge, but it's not great, and it didn't do all that well, unfortunately. He did that one with Robert Duvall, and Robert Duvall was great in it and got an Academy Award nomination for that. And then of course he did Doolittle, which was horrible. Doolittle was terrible. And so the question kind of then became, it's like, do you think maybe doing the MCU movies has kind of ruined his career? Because now all anybody wants to see him as is Iron Man. But you got to remember, like a lot of people forget this. His career was pretty much dead. Like, not dead as a doornail dead, but his career was not in good shape when he became Iron Man. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people at Disney did not want Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. A lot of people at Marvel didn't want Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, I should say, because he had several big problems. He had sabotaged his own career a couple of times through a lot of stupidity he learned from and grew from. Like, he's a great example. He learned from his mistakes and he grew from his mistakes. But he had self-sabotaged his career on a couple of occasions. And his career was, I mean, he did a couple of interesting things. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. You notice I didn't say kiss, kiss, gang, bang that time. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. And you know, one or two other things, but really ever since his breakout thing in Chaplin, where he got an Academy Award nomination for Chaplin, but then he sabotaged his career. Then he was starting to make a comeback on Ally McBeal. Then he sabotaged his career again with his drug addiction and things like that. And a lot of people forget his career wasn't really going anywhere before he became Iron Man. So no, I don't think doing Iron Man hurt his career. Even today, his career is further ahead than it was when he became Iron Man, because his career really wasn't going anywhere at the time. It really wasn't going anywhere at the time. Now, does he have challenges right now as a result of maybe being stereotyped a little bit as Iron Man, that maybe now a lot of the audience only want to see him as Iron Man? Maybe, but I still contend he's way ahead of where he was before he became Iron Man. And by the way, he'll be Iron Man again. But John, I heard him say in an interview, I don't care. He will be back as Iron Man. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not till 2025. Robert Downey Jr., I don't care what he says, I don't care what anybody says. Robert Downey Jr. will be back as Tony Stark in the MCU again at some point. As far as I'm concerned, you can take that to the bank. You can absolutely take that to the bank. All right, by the way, Boris Niklovsky sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Boris, for that. Appreciate that very much, man. Anyway, guys, listen, there is still more to come. And by the way, Jay's saying they'll offer him $30 million, he'll take it. They won't offer him $30 million because they won't have to offer him $30 million. They'll offer him $10 million and he'll take it when he's ready. And he will be, and he'll come back, but they won't have to pay him $30 million, and they know it. Anyway, let's see. There are still more questions to come from Dangerous D, Alpha Kevin, and Chuck the Mystery, and a few others. Do not worry, guys. We will pick right up where we left off on tomorrow's episode of the John Campea Show. Of course, I hope you guys will come back and join me and Robert Meyer Burnett for that. That'll be at 10 a.m. Los Angeles time. You figure out whatever that is in whatever time zone you're in. And guys, that'll do it for tonight's special episode of John Campea After Dark. I hope you like talking about all those dirty things that we do. I'm making things up. Anyway, guys, thank you so much to all of you guys in the live chat here for joining me tonight as we get caught up on the questions. Thank you guys to everybody who sent in the super chat badges as well. Really appreciate that. And a special thank you to all you guys who sent in these live comments and questions that we have used during the shows and on this show here. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show and After Dark, thank you guys so very much for your support. Okay, guys, I got to go to bed. I got to get up early to get ready for the next show. That'll do it for me. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.